Lights, camera, action.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another review, and today we're going to talk about a movie called Power Ballad. So this movie essentially follows Paul Rudd, who's kind of like this washed up, singer who plays for a wedding band now, and one night he meets up with Nick Jonas's character, who is like this up-and-coming superstar who was in like this boy band, but he's trying to break out solo, and they kind of bond over this, writing session one night, and cut to a few months later, a song that Paul Rudd showed him, he kind of, took and really turned it into this huge, number one song in the world. Paul Rudd kind of spirals a little bit because that is his song. So he's trying to prove to everyone that that is his song. This is a movie that was not on my radar whatsoever. I remember seeing the poster for it in the lobby of the movie theater, and I was like, oh, Paul Rudd's doing like a rock and roll movie. I was like, okay, cool. Then I happened to see the trailer for it in one movie I went to go see. It might have been Michael that I saw the trailer for. And the minute I saw who the director was, I was like, oh, I'm so in. And then after seeing the trailer, I was like, oh, this is going to be really good. I love this director. I love the trailer. So I was like, I am 100% in for this. If you guys don't know, this director, John Carney, also did a movie called Once, which is really good, a movie called Sing Street, and one called Begin Again, which I absolutely love. If you haven't seen any of those movies, I highly recommend them. I absolutely love Sing Street and Begin Again are really close to me just because I love music, so I love both those movies so much. So starting off with some of the stuff that I really enjoyed about this movie is one of the biggest things is I like how this movie made me feel. I like how this is like almost like this feel-good type movie. It's like, there is ups and downs and sad moments and whatnot throughout this movie, but at the end of the day, I couldn't help but to feel really good. I think Paul Rudd plays this character where you're so latched on to him, and so you're interested in his character. But after everything between the music and everything, it made me feel good, and that's something that I really enjoy, and I just love movies that make me feel good. I think in the same vein as his other work, John Carney does a really great job of really shooting this movie, how he goes about shooting the performances and stuff with our characters and like the live performances and like Paul Rudd at this wedding band and whatnot. I feel like he does a great job with that. And it goes into my next thing is the music. I absolutely love the music. I think all the music is good. There is like these released demos that Paul Rudd is working on throughout this movie, and you hear little snippets of it. And I selfishly wanted more of that. The little bit that they played, I was like, dude, this is amazing. Like, I want to hear more of this. And it's the same way when he plays, they're playing obviously all these cover songs for this wedding band at the start of the movie, and he tries to slip in like an original song at the end of their set, and he plays a little bit of the original song that was part of one of his albums at the end of the set, and I loved it. I thought it was really, really great. Of course, everyone leaves because they don't know what the song is or whatever, and I'm like, you people are crazy. Like, this song was really good. But I think the music's really great. I think even some of the songs that Nick Jonas does, which I'm not really a fan of, like, some of the music he was trying to do in this movie, but it still was really catchy, and I really enjoyed it. Like I said, my focus is more on really a lot of the stuff that Paul Rudd was working on that I really enjoyed, and like I said, maybe it's just because I'm older, but I kind of steer more towards the type of music he was doing. So just like his other films, I think all of the music in this movie is just great. I think the acting across the board is really great in this movie. I think Paul Rudd is great. I don't think there's really nothing that Paul Rudd can't do. This is the first time I've ever really seen Paul Rudd be like a singer, like for a band or whatever, so I thought it was really cool to see him kind of in that new element. And he's a really good singer. I think he had a really good voice. But I believed his character so much because I know what it's like to be in a band and feeling like that, you were meant for better things and thought you were going to go farther than you did. And just having that soul-crushing experience that you're like, maybe I'm just not going to make it as far as I was going to, that I thought I was going to. So I really related to Paul Rudd's character a lot. I've never obviously had a song that was stolen or anything like that, but his whole side of him of feeling like he is trapped somewhere that he doesn't want to be, that he's doing something, that it's still music, but it feels like he wants more, he deserves more, and he thought he would be somewhere different in his life, so he just wanted those big dreams for himself, and it didn't go the way that he planned. But really, he's a damn good songwriter, though, from the movie or whatever. But I know what that feels like. I know, especially when he's talking to Nick Jonas about how I was in a band, it fizzled out and whatnot. But at the end of the day, you understand why he did the things that he did. and why he's where he is now. And that is really the overarching message of the entire story, which I really enjoyed. I thought it was a really sweet story. And it really brings home that conflict later on in the story, where it makes you so blinded by the things that you thought you wanted and the things that you want to go after, that really makes you miss all the stuff and all the blessings that really you have in front of you, even though it's not really, you're not where you want to be. I think Nick Jonas is really good in this movie. I don't think he gets as much like fleshed out stuff as Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd's obviously the lead, and I feel like Nick Jonas is kind of there, and he's obviously there to get stuff within the plot rolling. But he's kind of a really bare bones character. Like, he is struggling to really find his success on his own. He was really successful in this boy band, but him trying to write these solo songs, they don't really hit as well as they did when he was a part of a group. So his label is really pressuring him to really show a different side of him, so that way they can see this side of him, who he is on his own. That is what really kind of brings him to really kind of take Paul Rudd's song to begin with, because it's something different. It came from a real place. So, and it's something he hasn't really experienced yet, which again is part of the overall arcing story of the movie. And I'll be honest, there is certain parts in this movie that really kind of made you hate Nick Jonas a little bit. You're like, dude, come on. There were certain points throughout the movie you're like, come on, man, just do the right thing. But I really enjoyed the acting. I really enjoyed like how they portrayed these characters, and I really believed and bought into everything that they were going through and dealing with, and I just really bought into what they were going for. And like I mentioned before, I really enjoy what the theme of this movie was, how, your goals and your ambitions in life can kind of blind you towards stuff that you already have in your life, stuff that you can, that you should be thankful for, that, in his case, where it's this song that he's trying to prove to everybody that he wrote this song because it could be life-changing for him. It could give him everything he ever wanted, when in reality, because he's chasing that so much, it's ultimately going to destroy everything that he already has in his life, that he should be thankful for and grateful for that he has. And I think the movie does a great job of portraying that, but then making Paul Rudd realize that as the movie goes on, especially by the end of the movie. And I think, like I said before, it's really sweet, the message of this movie and what the purpose of the song was, how he wrote it, and who he wrote it for. And like I said, that's a big overall arcing theme in the movie as well. And it makes me think that, the music plays such a huge part of this character and the movie overall, as, it's like almost like the music is a character of its own throughout the movie. And I think it fits in perfectly with these characters. And like I said, everything just fits almost perfectly. But I love the overall theme of what it's going for and what it's trying to say in its message. I thought it was really well done. I thought it was never like too much or too little. I thought they found the perfect balance of it. And like I said, it really, at the end of the day, was actually really sweet with how they did everything. And like I said before, as for me, I found this character in Paul Rudd so relatable because of somebody that's, I used to be in a band and I used to do music and all that stuff. And I still write music on my own, but it's not the same as being in a band. So all that stuff really resonated with me personally. And I just felt so much of what Paul Rudd is feeling in this movie, even though, he's, happy with where he's at until, all this stuff happens. But he's happy, or he's content with where he's at. But I just felt so much like his character, and I could relate to that so hard. And Paul Rudd does just such a great job of portraying that and really coming off of that. Like, he's great in this movie. So because of that, I was really rooting for his character and really wanting his character to really succeed and get into this. But at the same time, when he makes these foolish decisions, you're kind of like, man, it's hard to see from because you're so close to it. But as somebody like the audience from the outside looking in, you can look at it and be like, man, you have everything you needed right there. You got it all right there. And like I said, how the story unfolds and comes about, I think it's really well done. Now, while I didn't really have any negative things for this movie, I did have some mixed elements, and one of them being is there's a lot of plot points in this movie that just feel really convenient. There's a lot of times when things just kind of fall into place, or things kind of go pretty much very conveniently and go so smoothly. And while there is little issues, that they run into and whatnot, it still goes pretty smoothly. And in real life, you're like, there is absolutely no way that would play out in their favor like that. But I get it. You got to get to the next point or the next plot point. So because I enjoyed the movie so much, I can easily overlook that and forgive that. But I know there's a lot of people that's going to be like, God, that just kind of took me out of it because how convenient that is. But for the most part, that is really my only mixed element about it. And the reason it's mixed is because I can forgive it because of how much I enjoyed the movie and these characters. But like I said, for a lot of people, that can really be a big thing that really takes it out for them. It takes them out of the story and just being like, yeah, that was a little too much for me. But honestly, for the most part, I really found myself, like I said at the beginning of this review, I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's a movie that makes you feel good. It makes you feel warm and happy. And this movie has some comedy in it as well. I mean, it's not all drama or anything like that. It has some really good feel-good moments. It's a really good comedy at times. And I feel like John Carney does a really good job of injecting all of that into really all of his movies really well. So I appreciated the fact that this movie had a lot of that, same beats from his previous movies into this film. While I think this is not his best film, it's still up there in the top of his film. I mean, he's only done really like 4 films that I know of. He might have done more that I'm just not aware of, but this is really up there for me. I think it's really good. It's really solid. And at the end of the day, it's just a movie that you'll walk out of the theater smiling and feeling good, and you'll have something in you. I don't know, it just touched something in me. So, and it could have been because it was music related, and it could have just been that overall story. And I think maybe if you're a parent, I think maybe it'll hit you a little bit more. But I really enjoyed it, and I think it's a movie that you'll just, like I said, you'll walk out and really have a smile on your face. This movie for sure also made me want to go back and watch his other films. I haven't seen Sing Street or Begin Again or Once in a very long time, so I will probably be digging those out this weekend and checking out his other films yet again, just because I loved him so much, and this movie made me want to be in that world again that he creates. And really just feel good again. And that's really what all his movies are. All of his movies are really feel-good movies. So if you're somebody that really likes music or, has music at the core of your movies, or a movie that you just want to make you feel good, I highly recommend going to check this movie out. I think it's a lot of fun. There's some good laughs in there. But at the core of it, I love the story. I love what the overall message of the story is. And at the end of the day, like I said, I just love how it makes you feel. And if you're looking for one of those type of movies, this is absolutely the movie for you. And I just can't recommend it enough.
Has the ability to mean many different things to many different people.
So thank you, everybody. That was my review for Power Ballad. If this is the review that you're finding me on, please come over to the channel and check out all my other 2026 reviews so far. I'd love to have you over here. If you have seen this movie or any other of the John Carney movies, please comment below and let me know what your favorite was and what you really enjoyed about them. We can talk about that down below. And as always, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. That way I can see all of you in the next one. Thank you so very, very much.